The two best copywriting structures that everybody should use are AIDA, so attention, interest, desire, action, and problem, agitate, solution. Those are really amazing copywriting structures to use. And they're super versatile. Like, for example, attention, interest, desire, action. That could be an email that's more educational. So that copywriting structure helps you make emails that are going to deliver value to the email list. And whenever you're sending those emails, these recipients they're going to trust you. And AIDA is usually not as much of a salesy kind of email. So psychologically, people don't feel like they're being sold to, and they're more likely to click. No, dude, I had heard of that so many times, but no, I wrote everything myself. I know there's like that Imangaji way, but whenever you're really first starting out, you're not going to be able to do that. I imagine maybe if I had understood more about business and how to attract leads and how to position yourself as an authority, maybe I would have been able to charge enough money to do that. I was working at Raising Cane's as just like a normal member, and I was like, I want to be a manager. And so I got a response from 5 guys, and on my first interview went amazing, right? She loved me. Then the second interview, she took me to the location that I was going to be the manager at. And I remember like the first thing that she told me, she was like, do you see that bullet hole right there? Yeah, so this store got robbed like 2 days ago because everybody was wearing AirPods. And I was like, what? What have I gotten myself into? I'm in like the worst 5 guys ever. And she's like, okay, and there's another thing too. You're 18 years old. Everybody who works here is like 30. I'm really going to need you to use your authority to try to, manage all these like 30-year-old people.
Guys, before we get into the podcast, 91.6% of you guys are not subscribed. So please do hit the subscribe button, since it will help get even crazier guests and blow up the channel. So yeah, let's get back into the video.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Gen Z Fastlane. Today we have Tomas here, who is a incoming sophomore in the McComb's Business School of Texas.
Yeah, so
Tomas.
I'm Tomas. I'm the founder and CEO of Duke Dynamics, and like you said, incoming sophomore in the McComb School of Business here at UT Austin.
Nice. So first, talking about your agency, you run an email marketing agency, Duke Dynamics, targeting 6 to 7 figure DTC companies like, supplement brands, and help them basically with their whole email funnels, right? So my first question is, what was the factor that inspired you to target this persona with this specific service?
It really was something that evolved over time, because the whole email marketing thing, it didn't start out as an agency. It started me just freelancing. So eventually it kind of evolved. I started working with like an ice cream franchise that was like in Arlington, Virginia. And then I worked with this valve company, and slowly I realized, there is a market for this. When I really started seeing, even though it was a little bit of money, I was like, okay, now I need to niche down. So I was watching, I believe it was like an Alex Hormozy video, which is like about perfecting your offer. And I was like, okay, let's niche down. And I defined my ICP. And ever since then, I've just been, targeting that set of clientele. But even then, one thing is about an offer is that, yes, you're targeting a specific niche, but that doesn't limit you to other niches as well. So I've worked with companies in other industries, even though my email marketing agency is targeted towards supplement brands and 6 to 7 figure companies.
Nice. So you've been running this email marketing agency for nearly 2 years now. And if you ask someone who's, an agency owner, they will describe their journey as basically completely different from another agency owner, right? It could go from tipping point to reaching really low. So what was your journey looking like?
So my journey, it really didn't start out with email marketing, actually. I started doing a couple website design projects on Wix. And there was one time that I somehow got this company to let me design their emails for them. Or it wasn't really, I didn't get them to, but that's what they said they need. They're like, well, we don't really need web design, but do you have email marketing skills? So I sent them a bunch of samples, and unfortunately it didn't really go through. But eventually on Upwork, I was like, you know what, I'll just put up these samples on Upwork, and I'll say email marketing is one of my services. And I started applying to jobs, and after that, got my first client, only paid like $100 a month. I was on that for a really long time, and then finally got my second client. It's all really just been, it's been a snowball from there this past 2 years.
Nice. So most of the clients that you're getting is from like freelance platforms like Upwork. So do you do any other outreach platforms or?
In the past, it was Upwork. That's how it started. But now it's the more typical like LinkedIn DMs and
Mhm.
cold email outreach and everything like that.
Nice. So what do you think about this whole like saturation with like the email marketing, agency with like so many different people also, trying to start their own email marketing agency? Are you, worried about that, or how do you stand out from the other agencies?
Yeah. There is a lot of competition in email marketing. There is a whole bunch of agencies, and it's like a new one is starting up each day, or a new person starting to want to freelance for email marketing. And the thing about email marketing is that it's transformed from just email to retention. So the email agencies that are doing well right now in the industry, or even the freelancers, are agencies that can do more than one thing. You know, not just email. So, hey, like, are you also a CRO? Can you help me improve conversion rates on the website? That's part of the service that I'm also offering. I'm also a CRO on top of email. Can you help me with the website? So, right now, the way that email agencies are kind of differentiating themselves is by adding on way more services. So I don't think I would say I'm worried about that. There is a lot of competition, so it makes it hard, but it makes it even better because, when you know how to stand out, you stand out.
Nice. So stacking up with, multiple different services. So right now, like what does the team size look like for you?
The team size, so it's me, and then I have two other people that work with me. I have a designer and a copywriter, and I'm kind of just like the head. We all work together on all the clients that I have.
Nice. So like what are the color softwares that you use right now to, like maintain this like client communication, and just like in general, like what softwares do you use?
Yeah, so for client communication, I think everybody uses Slack at this point. Slack is super common. Um, and then other than that, like onboarding or when it comes to payment, I always use Stripe. Stripe is amazing, especially when you're starting up because it's so easy to set up. And that's pretty much it. I don't use really my other softwares except maybe Glock apps. Glock apps is really important for deliverability and maintaining deliverability for clients. That's like more technical stuff. And then obviously Klaviyo as well.
Nice, nice, nice. So like with this whole like email marketing scene, like did you have any previous like learning experiences or courses to teach you, how to do this or?
No, I never did any courses. I mean, I remember the reason that I started. Obviously, I started because of that person asking me to, make some email examples. But the one thing that I did look at was this guy. He posted like a free, like email doc, said like how to make $10,000 per month, and he had like this whole guide. And he had like some videos. So I must have watched like 5 videos, and then I obviously did my Klaviyo certification. So that was as much email marketing training that I had. It was very, very minimal. It was minimal. It was really just learning along the way. You know, email designs began improving, my copywriting began improving as I did. So it was really more about doing than it was about, watching all these videos on how to do it.
Interesting, interesting. So for someone who's like trying to start, their own email marketing agency, would you say just start posting on Upwork first, or like what do you think is still the strategy right now?
I would say, dude, like if I was talking to somebody who wants to get into email marketing, make some samples. Try making an email yourself and then put that on Upwork. Try making samples for companies. And the more you do, the more you're going to get better at it. For email marketing, it's really not a thing that you're just going to understand. You're not going to understand design. You're not going to understand copywriting unless you do it. Copywriting especially is like a super high level skill. Like that's like the basis of email marketing, having like a great copywriting skills. So copywriting, it's not a thing that you can watch videos and just get good at. Copywriting is something that you have to write and write and rewrite, write and rewrite until you're finally, good at it. So it's really just get on Upwork, try to get a job if you can, and if not, practice on your own. Try writing good copy, try, creating emails. And for the Upwork clients that you do try to apply for, make samples for them, and from that feedback that you get from that prospective client, that's how you know if you're doing well or not.
Yep. So like diving further into this, like when you like apply for Upwork jobs, like what was your core, like standout point to other competitors other than, just offering them another package? Like what were you charging them like initially?
It wasn't even about the price. Upwork is a platform where you have a certain level of clientele where they're going to be, they're looking at like a lower range unless you get invited to interview. But most of the time, the people who post on Upwork are going to be people who are looking for like really cheap. So price is never going to be a differentiator. There's always going to be somebody who's going to do it for cheaper than you over in like Bangladesh, you know what I mean? Or in South Africa, like they can make an email for $10, right? So it's really about, at that point, it's about showing that you care to the prospective client. So if you can somehow find their company on Upwork, or you can see their name and try to find it, make an email sample for them. Like deliver value first. And I know people probably heard this like a million times, but deliver value first, and then you can go ahead and talk about your service. That's how you're going to stand out.
Yeah, 100%. So like, yeah, providing this lead magnet first, building this initial trust. So like with your current email marketing clients, like could you briefly like break down like some of your overall like strategies or like tips or like some cheat codes that you personally use?
Strategies, tips. I mean, for email marketing, I would say like the two best copywriting structures that everybody should use are AIDA, so attention, interest, desire, action, and problem, agitate, solution. Those are really amazing copywriting structures to use, and they're super versatile. Like for example, attention, interest, desire, action, that could be an email that's more educational. So that copywriting structure helps you make emails that are going to deliver value to the email list. And whenever you're sending those emails, these recipients they're going to trust you. And when an AIDA is usually not as much of a salesy kind of email, so psychologically people don't feel like they're being sold to, and they're more likely to click. I found in my experience when you're sending those emails, like for example, like cocktail recipes, those are the emails that actually do the best. And we're not even selling the product at all. We're just telling you how to make a cocktail. You know what I mean? So I would say that's one tip that's super crucial for email marketing. Another one is, watch out for deliverability. I've had countless clients who they're not aware that they're landing in spam, or they're having their emails marked spam. Like watch out for your deliverability. Make sure you're not sending to the entire list, and to people who are actually engaged. If I were to tell this to all founders out there. And then, if you're sending 4 emails a month, you should really bump that up. People have more of a tolerance to receiving emails than you think. Right now, I think this is a statistic. I don't remember the exact number, but I believe it was 60% of adults, or I think it was more actually, so maybe 80% of adults prefer to receive communication about sales or about promotions through email, right? So people want to hear from you from email. Just, don't spam them, but you can send more emails than you think. I'd say those are the big 3.
Nice. So I like to always see like emails as like a private ad network, right? As like, what people say,
It is.
like,
Yeah.
make it more personalized. So like wrapping up with like this entire conversation, like going to like your studies, like how are you balancing your studies at McCombs with like, agency stuff?
Yeah, it can be a little bit complicated. It does mean most of the time, like last semester, or I guess I would say last year, it was a lot of me staying up, putting in the extra hours, staying up till 1, 2 a.m., just so I could get that agency work in if I needed to. Because, with college, you're having to write essays, or you're having to do huge projects that are take a bunch of time. So I did have to stay up. And honestly, if you're a person that's trying to start your own business, that's just what it's going to be. You're going to have to stay up, put those extra hours in if you really want to, 1, deliver a great service, and 2, if you want to make it out there.
Yeah, makes sense. So like for yourself, like how much value do you see in like this like university degree, and like how was the course for you in the first year?
Well, the courses in my first year weren't particularly very business. I was more like core classes. So, I mean, the thing about college, and the thing that I still love college, right? I think it's great. Maybe right now, I guess that first year didn't really I didn't really see a lot of value in it. Even in my two business classes that I had, the thing is that college is like your last opportunity that you're gonna have to learn. So for me, college, the value that I see in it is, it's your opportunity to learn at least one last time in your life, where you're forced to, and you have to hit the books and you have to like study all these things. Like I had a Russian history class. When else are you gonna get the chance to learn about that kind of stuff? Obviously, I imagine with the degree moving forward, there's maybe going to be more value. I think one thing that a business degree, and why people should get a business degree more than anything, is because, you can learn things like accounting or finance. And accounting is the language of business. This is known in the business world. Accounting is the language of business. So I would say that, there's still a lot of value in a college degree.
Do you think also like, like basically connecting with the people in your degree also was one of the core values for you in McCombs or?
Absolutely. That's another one too. Uh, I mean, just being in university, it gives you so much opportunity to talk to so many different people, right? Like, one of the people that I met here, he has his own TikTok agency. So I found somebody who was also in the agency space, and he was more advanced than me, so he was able to give me a lot more advice that was able to help me like supercharge my business and take it to the next level. So that's another thing about college. There's a lot of connections that you can make here, and I mean, there's money to be made. You can, start your own business in college and sell it to college students as well. So.
Yes, like with the agency, like in the beginning, did you personally like write all of the copies yourself, or did you, go like kind of like the Iman Gaji way and like outsource stuff to people?
No, dude. I had heard of that so many times, but no, I wrote everything myself. I know there's like that Imangaji way, but whenever you're really first starting out, you're not going to be able to do that. I imagine maybe if I had understood more about business and how to attract leads and how to position yourself as an authority, maybe I would have been able to charge enough money to do that. But no, I wrote everything myself. I did all the work myself. Yeah.
Nice, nice. So like right now, like what is your kind of like pricing model?
My pricing models, yeah. So right now we do like a retainer. So email really is about month over month management, right? So getting all the email campaigns sent out in the month, usually 2 times a week, and, you know, making sure all the segment, like checking deliverability, making sure that the emails are having good engagement, and maybe you have to pivot. So it's usually a lot of strategy involved. So it's ongoing management. That's why it's like the retainer model month over month.
Nice. So like, like talking about like the future, what do you see yourself like pursuing? Like, is it going to be like scaling this entire agency to like 100K a month, or like what's the plan here?
You know, I've asked myself that so many times. I always have like the temptation of like, the full-time job and the income security, but there's a very small fire in me that wants to just keep scaling the agency and see where it goes, honestly. I do see it, growing a lot, and especially with everything that's changing in marketing, I think there's going to be even more opportunities in email, whether that's, still, whether AI takes over that or not, there's still going to be huge opportunities. And, you know, my goal and my focus right now, more than anything in college, is to scale this agency. So, yeah.
Nice. So like with the target audience, like right now with like the clients that you're onboarding, of course, like with case studies, more clients will probably want to come to you when you outreach to them. Is there like a specific qualification or like process that you personally like filter through, or do you like, how many clients do you take each time?
Yeah, so I only try to take one client a month. The reason why is because, I like to devote my entire time to the client and making sure that we can get everything set up and ready so that we can just start sending campaigns and just look at A/B testing and optimizing the account. So it's all about full focus,
Mhm.
right? And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, so I know like, the first month's probably the most important one, right? Because when they swipe the credit card, they will probably expect that you will be start, delivering results. So what does your like timeline or process look like for like first month? So let's just say, for example, you sign me as a client. Like, can you break down like the step-by-step process?
Yeah, so and this happens right before I sign you as a client. Right before, there's always an audit, there's always an analysis where I tell you, because, usually founders, they don't really understand what's going on with their email and they don't know how to look at it. So there's always going to be an audit, and I'm going to tell you, here, this is what your email marketing needs. These are the changes that we need to make, and here are the optimizations that we need to make, right? And you tell me, oh no, I didn't even know about this. I need your help. So I send you that Stripe link, and the first month, the way it is just I go in, put my full focus in optimization, and that might be completely redesigning your flows. That could be completely rewriting everything that you have already. Or, maybe you're not sending enough email campaigns. So we start, developing a strategy around email for the month. And we hop on a call together and we say, hey, like, tell me more about your brand. Tell me more about your audience. Obviously, aside from the research that I do, tell me more about your audience and what do you think are the emails that they're going to enjoy, or what content do they enjoy, right? So we go ahead and we strategize for the month, depending on what month it is. If it's a Black Friday month, how are we going to run the promotions? When are we going to send these emails for the promotions? How are we going to stand out from all the competitors that are sending emails during Black Friday, for example? Are we going to do an early access list? Everything like that.
Nice. So like with this entire like timeline, like what do you see as kind of like the future trend of email marketing, or just like B2C marketing in general?
Yeah, so it does seem like there's a lot of it that's trying to be taken over by AI. I'm already seeing, I think there's this guy, I think his name is Khalid Basir on LinkedIn, and he's creating this AI that's designing emails completely for people. So, there is a competition for AI in the email marketing space, but I think AI isn't going to replace email marketing agencies. I think it's going to be where it's just going to be more, they're going to be working together, because there's one thing that a robot can do. I've used ChatGPT before to try to copyright, and I've tried to use the best prompts possible. The thing about ChatGPT and bots is that they don't understand human emotion. We do. That's the gift of the human brain that no bot is ever going to have, unless, we get to a crazy point, right? Is that they're not going to understand human emotion. We do. So, something, for example, like copywriting inside email isn't ever going to go away. So yeah, I think email is going to be, there's going to be a lot of AI within use, but I don't think it's going to replace email agencies whatsoever.
Gotcha. I also personally agree with that. So it's kind of like it will be a really good tool to, assist in marketing agencies. So, like just speaking about kind of like, your backup plan, like let's just say, for example, you don't manage to deliver X result for a client, or like something bombs in the email marketing agency. Like, where do you take inspirations from right now? Like, do you go on LinkedIn? Like, do you go on YouTube? Do you do like some kind of mentorship, or like, where do you find inspiration?
Yeah, so something doesn't go well. I have recently gotten a mentor that he's been helping me scale my business, automate, delegate. So that person has been kind of like a grounding stone. He's been through it. So, sometimes like I can get really stressed out. Like I'm trying to sign a client, and, they came to me, and I feel like I'm completely fumbling it. Like I'm not saying what I need to say. It's always been like having a mentor has been really nice, right? Or if not, I love Alex Hormozy. I love watching his videos. That guy gives me hell inspiration. His story about how he failed like so many businesses. Like he failed his gym businesses, and then he started his gym line sitting company, for example. Like everything like that has always given me a lot of motivation as well. Like even if I fail, it's all going to be okay, because I know I can bring it all back up.
Nice. What does your day-to-day schedule look like, actually? I'm just really curious.
My day-to-day schedule, well, it's I wake up, I usually eat breakfast, and depending on how I feel, I might go to the gym. If not, I'll just leave the gym to the afternoon. But I usually work probably from around like 9 all the way to 12. Then I eat, and then if I have any meetings, I have them in the afternoon, and if not, I just keep working. Sometimes I keep working usually until like 6. 6, I go to the gym. And then I come back, depending on if there's still client work to do, I come back and I work again. Sometimes my day can be completely filled with work. I mean, right before I sleep, the other thing that I do, that I do is maybe I play my guitar, maybe I read a book to kind of chill down. But really, it's composed of a lot of working. And because one thing about email is that, and just marketing in general, is that it never stops. The marketing isn't gonna. It's not like a brick and mortar shop where like we're closed on Sundays. It's like every single day there's new stuff to do. There's new strategies. So you're always getting contacted by clients, and they're telling you, hey, like we want to do this, or what do you think of this? Even on weekends as well.
Yeah. So like transitioning over to one of your other job experiences where you like worked at like Five Guys. So when
Oh yeah.
like I read some reviews and like the overall working experience like 3.5 stars, which is actually not bad. So how was your experience as like a manager in Five Guys?
Dude, that's actually an amazing question. Um, so I had graduated early from high school a semester, so this was supposed to be like my job before I go into college, kind of like gap semester before I go into college. And I was working at Raising Cane's as just like a normal member, and I was like, I want to be a manager. And so I got a response from Five Guys, and on my first interview went amazing, right? She loved me. Then the second interview, she took me to the location that I was going to be the manager at. And I remember like the first thing that she told me, she was like, do you see that bullet hole right there? Yeah, so this store got robbed like 2 days ago because because everybody was wearing AirPods. And I was like, what? What have I gotten myself into? I'm in like the worst Five Guys ever. And she's like, okay, and there's another thing too. You're 18 years old. Everybody who works here is like 30. So, I'm really going to need you to use your authority to try to, manage all these like 30-year-old people. Man, bro, that was difficult. This story I love to tell. There was this guy, he was like 40 something. I don't remember his name. He was very well known for like doing whatever he wants. So he would like leave the store and go take like a cigarette break for like an hour and a half and never come back. And then one day, we had one of the managers like yell at him. And this guy's built like a, D1 lineman for University of Alabama. So the employee literally grabs the manager, picks him up, and he's like, what did you say? And he like punches the wall right next to him. Dude, this thing was like out of the movie. And then the guy like slips out, and we call the cops. We had the cops came super quick. It was like literally a 2-minute response. They slide over the counter and they tackle the Five Guys employees. So yeah, Five Guys was definitely, a wild ride of a lot of things that happened. So I think like the one thing that I got from Five Guys was leadership and really just putting myself in a situation with people who are older than me and showing authority with people who are older than me. I think that's like the thing that I took the most.
That could be kind of transition to your email marketing agency.
Yeah.
Most of your clients are probably older than you, I assume, like e-com stores.
Oh yeah.
So, like out of like a lot of different interns, like I think this whole intern with like restaurants is kind of decreasing. With if you're able to get like a startup intern, you could get like a sales position or whatever under your email marketing agency. So, like, have you considered getting like an intern like at another startup, like being like a sales rep, or like what was the overall like thought process with choosing like Five Guys and Kate as well?
Yeah, so at the time, coming out of high school, I mean, I was a great student. I was like near top of my class, but I didn't have really a stacked resume. I didn't have anything to speak for myself. So I did try applying, I didn't get anything. So it was like, I tried working at a bank actually, but problem was that they didn't want me to work there because I had a lot of competitions. I was in a business organization that I was doing competitions for. And so, yeah, no luck. And Five Guys was the first one, that responded and was like, hey, we'll take you on. I was like, you know what? I'll get some management experience. This is probably not going to be that bad. I worked at a restaurant before. I mean, it wasn't terrible, it seemed really easy. but I wasn't expecting what I was expecting at Five Guys. So yeah, that was why.
Nice. So, like, with everything that you've done, like, and with all of the email marketing agency, like, I think I've asked you this before, but like in the future, like, let's just say, for example, like your email marketing agency like scales to like 50K a month or something like that. Will you consider like maybe like dropping out of, you know, this degree if like there's too much work to do, or like?
That's a good question, and I have thought about that before. If this does, I mean, I am at a point right now where I make like a decent income to where I could, you know, live. So I have that question has come up to me like a lot of times. You know, what if I just put every ounce of my time into that agency? And I don't know. Like I said, college is really the last time where you're just going to be forced to learn. And I'm a naturally just curious person, you know. Even though I had a Russian history class and like a government class, you know, I still really enjoyed learning about all those things. So I think just I would try to graduate earlier from college, obviously, but I don't think I would, you know, take for granted the opportunity that I have right now of being in college, because there's so many people that don't even have that opportunity in the first place, right? And there's still a lot of opportunity for me to network as well. You know, you never know what your friends in college are going to end up as. You know, maybe they end up super successful as well. So, you know, there's obviously a lot of pros as well.
So following up with this question, like I always heard this term that, you know, like you could scale an agency to a certain point where you basically hit the roof. Like if you go, you can't really make it like a $1 million agency unless if you scale your headcount, right? With like lots of clients. So
Mhm.
like after the email marketing agency, what do you plan on doing? Like, have you considered that?
Yeah, that's a good question. Uh, that's a tough question. You know, I've always thought about one thing about being an email marketing agency is that, and especially when you're offering multiple services, is that you do get to learn a lot about how an e-commerce business works and the marketing strategies that work, right? I think if there's a point where my agency like it hits a certain point to where it can't really grow anymore, I think my next venture would be to start my own product, get my own CPG product out there, or some kind of product, maybe even AI. You know, I think going into AI and automations with AI would be another business that I would look at after email marketing.
Nice. And I think it's really possible because you could just easily transfer the skills from your agency, like, you know, all the
Exactly.
management stuff into another venture. So I think it's all about the skills, right? Like adapting
Mhm.
to the current market situation. So for anyone listening, like what would you say is your one advice for, you know, like an upcoming email marketing agency owner or just agency owner in general?
Yeah, just for anybody wanting to start a business, you know. And this was from a book that I read from a friend of a friend that he told me to read his book. It is from Ishan Goel. It's called The Back Door. You're never going to make a change in your life if you haven't already mentally made the change. So I guess this phrase is like kind of, you know, paradoxical, but you can't be rich unless you're rich, right? The change starts in your mind. If you don't already believe that you're rich, if you don't already believe that you're successful and that you're going to be successful, you know, you're never going to be successful. If you believe that starting a business is hard, that you're never going to be able to make it and that it's going to be impossible, well, guess what? The starting a business is going to be hard if that's what you think. You know, it's all about a change of mindset. And really and I learned that from that book is that unless you open up that back door in your brain that you can do this, that this is possible, that it is not out of your reach, then you'll be able to do it. But until it doesn't matter how much physical effort that you put into this, because it's like with the gym, right? If you believe that you're unfit, well, I mean, maybe you could do like weights, you know, but eventually, you know, you're going to stop going to the gym and I mean, your mind's going to be like, oh, well, we're unfit, so why are we doing weights, you know, and you're going to take that time off, right? It's the same thing with that. So consistency as well as key with anything.
Nice. So I was saying it's like a psychological thing. So like one last thing for any, agency owners, like for example, if they've been outreaching for like the past 2 years and they haven't been getting much results, like what would you say is your biggest advice for them?
Dude, if you've been outreaching for 2 years and you're not getting any results, you're doing something wrong at that point. That's not life, telling you maybe outreach isn't for you. I don't know, but if you've been outreaching for 2 years, then it isn't for you, right? Or maybe you have to evaluate what you're doing. You're definitely doing something wrong, right? But for me, for example, it took me 3 months to land my first Upwork gig when I was freelancing. You know what I mean? So even if you haven't been able to land anything for 6 months, like just keep going. There's been so many times where I'm like, maybe I won't. Am I gonna get more clients at this point? And next thing I know, boom, something lands, and I'm like, oh my gosh, thank goodness I kept doing it. So show up every day and make sure that when you do show up, you're not doing it passively, right? You're not just going, okay, I'm gonna write this email, not even think about it, send it. Or I'm gonna send this LinkedIn DM, I'm not even gonna think about it and send it. Analyze what you're doing, right? Like analyze, okay, why didn't this person respond? You know what I mean? Look at it. Be active with whatever you do in life. Be active with it. Think about it. Why didn't this person respond? How could I formulate this message better? Everything like that.
Yeah, nice. I can also justify that. Like if you like, it sounds so much easier to like, for people to say that you can't really land a client. But for me personally, I also landed my first like B2B client in 3 months. So it's really possible, to be honest. But yeah, Thomas, I really appreciate you hopping on the Gen Z Fast Lane. For anyone who's looking to contact Thomas, I'll put his, contacts in the description. Feel free to chat with him. And yeah, catch you guys on the next one. Peace out.